Welcome back. We are live at News Chopper 9 now with a department fire here in Independence. Sprawling apartment complex here just to the northwest, maybe a quarter mile or so, almost across the street from Center Point Hospital, just north of 37th Street. It's going to be about a half mile or so to the east of 291 Highway. This building, this apartment building, fully involved in flames right now. You can see the Independence Fire Department is on the scene as well. We don't have any other details as far as if everybody got out okay. Very troubling to see this scene as we have this fire raging away. Now, it looks like firefighters, as close as they can get, is almost across a parking lot. We do see a little bit of water on this now, but not full streams of water being played on this at all right now. A lot of firefighters between these two buildings, and now you got to wonder, and I can't really even tell if there's another building to the north of this. We're looking north and west, or south and east of this apartment complex. Still trying to confirm the name of that. Now, those are two buildings you see. I don't know if these are all the same complex. I'm sure they are, but it looks like maybe a dozen more buildings as well. This will be on the far east side of this apartment complex. Again, this is in Independence, not that far from Independence Center, just north of 39th Street, and it would be, about a half mile or so to the east of 291 Highway on 39th Street, just north of 39th. As you can see, no, it doesn't look like there's any we're seeing some water on it now, but we're just not seeing any kind of water being put on this that could possibly get this under control. We don't know what the circumstances are there, but it is pretty, and look at all the fire equipment that is across the street in that parking lot by another building. Now, we'll probably here in a couple of minutes circle around and see if we can find, it looks like more firefighters to the north. But now we think about the people who were in this building, how fast this spread. We got the word just, maybe 10 minutes ago, and we were over that 71 highway shutdown that just reopened, and that got called out to us, pointed in this direction to the north and east from that location, and we could see the flames from there. That's a full, maybe 10 miles away. So it looks as though this was almost an explosive type situation. Not that there was an explosion involved, but what I'm trying to say is that once this started going, it went rapidly, and now you can see, I don't think there's any amount of water they could put on it right now to get it under control. So now the concern, too, is this in danger of spreading to another building? Is there another building to the north of this? And we will circle around as soon as we can figure out what's going on with the smoke. Yeah, we'll go ahead and start circling around here if you want to stay on this for a minute, and we'll see if that is a factor. But if this fire spread so quickly, if it started rapidly, or if there was any kind of something that could accelerate it and folks had trouble getting out, that is the part right now. Think of all the people in there. And in a little bit, we'll see if we can kind of count how many apartments there may be in each one of these buildings, but it looks like, at least 20, 25, 30, maybe more. But this entire building of this apartment complex in Independence now, fully involved in flames, the north side just now getting involved. And do we have another building to the north? It does not appear as though, I think there may be one to the north and east. So we'll keep coming around. Firefighters definitely at a loss here. I just don't see any water getting on this. And again, even if they did get a bunch of streams on it, what are they going to do with it? There's no way to get this under control now. To keep it from spreading would be certainly a concern. We'll come a full 360 around it and come back over it. Yes, there's not another building just to the north of this. That's about the only piece of good news I have for you right now. Again, an apartment building fully involved here, Independence, just north of 39th Street, and about a half mile to the west of 291 Highway. Firefighters now in that snorkel trying to get some water on it. That is a lost cause. We do see some firefighters on the ground, but there's no way they're going to get this under control. And I imagine the building will be a total loss. It looks like we have a significant wind, too, from the south and southwest. I think we heard kind of some of that was a little bit stronger overnight, and that is obviously fanning the flames. Look at the amount of smoke coming off of this apartment building now, thick black smoke, and of course that is indicating too that there is a lot for this fire to work with as far as fuel is concerned. So as are many apartments here in the area, it looks like this is the typical wood frame structure, and that is why we are seeing this fire rage away. I will give it back to you guys in the studio, but very troubling now. Boy, you just gotta hope everybody got out okay.
Yeah, and to your point, Johnny Rollins, as we're looking at this right now, the wind, Nick says this is a very windy day with wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour, fanning those flames, and a very packed-in apartment complex. From what we can tell, Johnny, and to viewers watching, this is the Indy Ridge apartment complex off of East 37th Terrace. It's just north of Independence Commons, where you have the movie theater and that, just across the street from there. And man, the flames are raging right now. And as Johnny said, you see firefighters trying to tackle this, but it's just nearly impossible right now.
Johnny, you mentioned again the swiftness with which this fire just has taken this building. If my quick research is right, it looks like it was built back in 1982. I'm trying to picture where it is. Grew up in Independence. Don't know if that makes a difference that it was built so long ago in terms of building materials and why that accelerated so fast. Obviously, questions for later. The big thing is the people. And you just had a tighter shot, Johnny. You're seeing some folks outside of that complex. I'm guessing. I think I saw some people walking around.
Yeah. Well, what I saw was firefighters walking away with their ladders, and that's the bad part, because now we know that they're fighting this defensively. Obviously, nothing they can do from the inside. And if it did spread rapidly, the first thing they try and do is get in there, clear it, be sure everybody got out okay. Well, how are you going to do it when it is raging away like this? We don't know how long the fire had been going by the time we got the call. We'll leave that to the producers. I know that they, when they called us, they probably have an idea how long it was before firefighters got there, or how old that call was. Typically, of course, we're right on this stuff, and so we get the word up here as soon as the calls come that there's a fire. And a lot of times we'll hear that call, and it'll be maybe a kitchen fire, smoke in the building, or whatever. Rarely, thankfully, but sadly, rarely we see this. And you can see right now that there's no way firefighters are able to be in there now. So the question is, did they have time to get in there to check if everybody got out okay, to clear the building? I can't imagine. Now, one thing we are seeing here is that it does look like this is the upper floor. Well, it's kind of hard to say. Maybe not. If it started in the attic or the upper floor, obviously easier to get those below that out of there. If it started lower, spread up, that's when people can get trapped, and that's problematic. If we count kind of those decks, 1, 2, 3, looks like 3-story. 3 on one side, we think, and 4, at least on this building, 4 on the other. And that looks like 2 sides, and that would be 4. So, wow, yeah, a lot of apartments here. And again, we'll show you the scope of this apartment complex. It is huge, and probably a dozen, maybe 15 buildings there. And look at all the Independence firefighters. The call has gone out to other fire departments right now to assist. But it may be a lost cause as far as saving this building. And right now, hopefully they had time to get these folks who are in the north side of the building. We're looking to the south and east now, to the north side of the building out of there. But that south portion, the south half of this building, is fully involved in flames. But it looks like the upper floor, maybe they are having some luck getting something done on that lower. Look at all those flashlights. And firefighters, I'm sure, desperate to try and figure out what they can do to get in if anybody's in there, or to at least clear part of it. But walking away with ladders gives me the impression, of course, that now this is being fought defensively, meaning totally outside of the building. Firefighters just aren't going to be able to get in there with the risk of this building collapsing. And internally, you can see we're looking down into it now, and the inside of it is still blazing away. No roof to be seen whatsoever anymore. But that, of course, would be a danger of the building collapsing down, which is typical here, seeing the floors just pancake down to the ground, and firefighters don't want to be in there for that.
No, and we don't want to see that. Johnny, answering your question, Madison, our executive producer, said that fire started at 6:02. So the fact that we got to you, 15 minutes later, and it was just engulfed the way it is says a lot. We want to go to Nick right now. And Nick, when we started the show, you talked about winds being 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, look at the wind right now. We just pulled this up. This is sustained, so this does not include the gust. There in Independence, south to southwest, sustained at 16 with gusts up to 30 miles an hour. But a lot of times I've found when you get close into fires of that magnitude, that can amp up the wind gusts, a solid 10 miles per hour. So there really could be 40-mile-per-hour gusts in between those buildings around that fire. Farther to the north here, maybe east sides of Liberty up towards Excelsior Springs and 92 Highway, you might be smelling smoke because that smoke is spreading rapidly to the north and the east there on those strong southwest winds.